Yes. But before we find any more trucks anywhere.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Great, it's carried. Anyone? That's the last. Cookie and washroom and coffee? All right, we'll take a break. Let's say, I don't know, 11:35? We'll start with your department when we come back.
On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario's south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Norfolk, Norfolk, my Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, the Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger long. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, the Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger long. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road, bound to be back for more. Of North.
What I love most about Norfolk County, I think, would be the vastness of the county, how it's big and there's breathing space, and there are so many little pockets of beauty, natural beauty.
I love the seasons here. The springtime, the rain falling on the earth. I'm a farmer, so I enjoy those aspects of it, the smell of the rain. The summer times, we have beautiful warm summers here.
You have such pristine water here. You have some of the finest cold water streams in Ontario with Big Creek and Youngs Creek and others that produce great fishing.
Norfolk is very heavily forested, beautiful color in the autumn. The sun shines very brightly here in the wintertime, so I love the 4 distinct seasons we have here in Norfolk County.
What people find remarkable about Norfolk County, I think, is that our sense of community and us working together.
I think of us as a little bit of, we have these ecospheres in our store. They're these self-sustaining little balls that, completely take care of themselves. We're a little bit like that, in our area. We have so much here.
My kids grow up knowing what it's like to produce a piece of fruit or produce some food, some vegetables, and put them on the table, how much effort that takes. And I think that's important.
When people come into the shop, we pull out the map and we show them the wineries and the breweries, and we tell them about the local dining in town, and we'll tell them about the lavender farm, and along the way show them produce stands that they could stop to pick up some goodies.
Everything that we want to do socially and all of our extracurricular activities are right here. And when you join groups, these people they'll want to get to know you immediately. That's our nature. We're curious and we're supportive and we're interested.
Sometimes opportunity just kind of happens when you're talking to someone and having a conversation with someone here in Norfolk. The next thing you know, you're collaborating with them on a project or activity.
The amount of people within our community that support our business is outstanding, because it's a give and take relationship. If you support everyone else, they will support you, and it makes our community that much stronger and that much better.
I think that working with the local businesses here, everyone's very welcoming. Every time I meet a new business owner, and I love to go to new stores and new restaurants that open up and introduce ourselves and welcome them to the community. It's easy to fall in love with Norfolk County.
My advice to a family that's thinking about moving here is to come and visit. Come and spend a week. Come and experience everything that we have to offer, because you're going to find an amazing quality of life.
You're 10 minutes away from a beach. You're 5 minutes away from a dog park. There's so much opportunity in an area like this for young entrepreneurs, young families, even, senior entrepreneurs that are doing that as well.
I'm very happy. I'm lucky, very lucky I can be here, It's a good place to raise family too.
We don't have this sort of slick veneer over us. We're really comfortable in our own skin, and artists are making art because they love to make art, and musicians are writing songs because they love to write songs.
And just because you're not from here doesn't mean that you can't embrace what makes Norfolk great. Sort of our diversity, the wonderful landscapes here.
And it's just a great area. You're going to meet great people. You're going to have a supportive environment. We can compete on an international stage with anybody. And that's how we have to start looking at the world.
You just have to be willing to work hard, realize the potential that there is here, and just put yourself to work and create that opportunity for yourself.
I found that as a young entrepreneur, I was given every opportunity I could want. Just put yourself out there. Go to local events, and you're going to bump into all kinds of people that are going to be, important business connections to you.
Everybody's so willing to help somebody else out. I think that's the best thing about even being a business owner in Norfolk County.
We're a small community, but there's so much support here, whether it's a restaurant or ecotourism. We just have this appetite, and if you've got a great idea, you've got a willing community that's going to get behind your idea.
Some of the advice that I would give entrepreneurs coming to Norfolk County would be to think outside of the Norfolk box, but don't forget what's in the Norfolk box. Because we have a lot to offer, we have a lot of great people, a lot of great opportunities.
Norfolk County.
Entrepreneurs grow here.
Norfolk County.
Ideas grow here.
Norfolk County.
You grow here.
You grow here.
You grow here.
There's not enough room here.
Not enough room. Paper. You're fine, Cyan. You're fine. I'm just hogging the space. Here I go again with my cough. You know, got speakers. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Board health. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Presented today is a gross budget of approximately $5 million for public health. The board has an overall levy net increase of 6.5% or $168,800. The operating budget was presented at the Health and Social Services Advisory Committee last week, and recommendations as presented were carried unanimously. A few key drivers included within your packages today, and I'll just speak to a few, are the salary and benefits, which is really the main driver for the increases due to economic and merit increases. Also, the board-approved initiative that is within your package is another key driver of the increase. And finally, I'll just speak to briefly the increase in service costs for the vaccine delivery contract, which was through a procurement process. The board will recall during the Board of Health orientation that public health is circumscribed by statute and regulation, and that the Ontario Public Health Standards were modernized with enhancements in 2018 for additional services, increased accountabilities, and reporting with no additional funding. We are working to address these new directives within the budget before you to maintain the service levels and enhance the mandated requirements. Some of the new service enhancements within the standards and the requirements are the addition of the vision screening, a child falls prevention, a report will be forthcoming to the board in March, increases in bunkhouse inspections, the implementation of the inspection disclosure program, increase in quarterly reporting, the submission of the annual service plan with the budget submission, and of course the ongoing gas wells monitoring that the public health is working with our respective divisions. It is important to note that the public health is heavily funded through a cost-shared funding model. There is an expectation that a portion of the funding comes from the provincial government and a portion from the municipal government. Additionally, public health is cost-shared with Haldimand County. I have provided on your blotter a pictorial to demonstrate an outline of the funding and cost sharing from the multiple ministries, and also included in that package is a shift in FTEs. I'm referring to this document here. It's just a pictorial to help outline that for you. Since the introduction of the funding formula in 2014, annual provincial grants for the mandatory programs have not increased with the exception of last year. Driven predominantly by annual cost of living increases in salaries, the levy contributions have risen beyond the targeted 25% in the case of mandatory and related programs. In addition to salary increases for those programs intended to be 100% funded, operational costs are not included in the grants have led to municipal contributions. Staff continue to review programs to maximize the funding and find efficiencies. For the first time in a number of years, there was an opportunity last year in 2018 for health units to request an increase in base funding. Our health unit staff did submit a grant request that base funding be adjusted to realign the provincial and municipal contributions to their desired proportions, which was not realized. However, we did see an increase of $198,900 allocated to the base funding, or the mandatory cost-shared envelope of funding, and several one-time funding grants. Staff are currently preparing, once again, the annual service plan and budget submissions, and will be submitting 5 base grant funding grants and 8 one-time funding grants. Any funding announcements will be brought forward to the Board of Health for your consideration. Staff respectfully will ask that the Board of Health consider that changes such as recommended reduction in the budget have compounding impacts to the levy to public health programs due to the cost sharing with the province and with Haldimand. I will share once again with you as the Board of Health to help illustrate the cost sharing of the province and Haldimand, the example I shared at the Board of Health orientation. So if we take a program that costs $100,000, that leaves a levy impact of $25,000 under the 25-75 cost sharing. With the additional cost share of approximately 40% of $10,000, that leaves the levy impact of $15,000 or 15 cents on the dollar. Additionally, it's important to note if funds are not utilized or matched within the allocated funding envelopes, the funds must be returned to the province, challenging Haldom and Norfolk to maintain those funds in subsequent years as they are distributed to other communities. At times, a reduction has no impact on the levy, but may significantly impact the services that we provide. Great efforts have been taken to maximize the funding, ensure 100% funding programs are within the allocated funding, and reduction in all control costs have been realized. Staff would like to share that the municipal cost for both counties for the array of public health services is $54.65 per household for the full levy impact before you, or 15 cents per day per household. For the additional ask that's presented before you today for 2019 at a cost of $3.31 per day per household, or an additional penny per day per household. Staff welcome questions of council so as to provide council any implication of recommendations within the cost sharing, but more importantly, the potential service delivery implications for your consideration. And with that, staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No questions? Are you going to walk us through any of this, or?
Through you, Madam Chair, whatever you prefer. We can either walk through each page, or we can answer questions as you would prefer.
Were you able to find any information on positions that may have been funded by the government previously that perhaps the funding may have stopped for that particular position and then it just kind of becomes blended in the levy and we lose that?
So through the mayor to the board, through the board chair to the board, there are multiple positions that are up to 100% funded, but recognizing that that's not always all inclusive. So sometimes it's just up to the salary and benefits, and there is an expectation that there is some in-kind or municipal levy to those additional costs. There are several programs, and the staff did bring a report to the board back in 2016 with what those costs and the additional costs we were paying for such 100% positions, and we'd be happy to do that. There are several funding envelopes that have not seen any increase for many years, and we've adjusted accordingly by trying to gain efficiencies and reducing some of the operational costs throughout the years.
Do you have any management positions that are supervisory positions that are currently open and not filled?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we currently have I'll get this straight one of these times. We currently have the Director of Public Health vacant. Ms. Taylor left the organization in the late fall.
And has there been an impact with not having that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's definitely an impact. The staff before you today have assumed many of those responsibilities and are adhering to them. There are some deliverables that remain outstanding. For a simple example, the health audit recommendations, there's a significant amount of work that still needs to be done to finalize those, and those were things Ms. Taylor was working on. We're doing our best to set priorities and work through those priorities as best we can.
I just raised this. I've had a number, actually, of frontline staff in the hospital that have come to me off the record. I've been provided with old organizational charts, and there is enormous frustration amongst frontline staff in the hospital departments. I mean, you remember when Norfolk was one of Canada's worst places to live, and that was in response to our service time. So what I'm hearing is the argument of, hey, like, why are we adding all these layers of management? At one point in time, I've been told, I used to have to just ask this person if I could do something. Now I have to ask this person, who has to ask this person, who then has to get approval from this person. And a lot of those positions, I think, are, where the provincial government saying, okay, we're going to provide you with some funding to do this. And so on the one hand, it's great that we're getting a position that's funded by the government. On the other hand, it doesn't help much if you're just adding layers of bureaucracy above the frontline people being able to do their job. So I'm just wondering if we have some if there was that position, if we might be able to, rather than fill it, perhaps readjust things accordingly so that, again, as I mentioned yesterday, in a normal, in a well-functioning organization, sometimes they say, 15 people, to a supervisor, and all throughout Norfolk County, we see, 3 to 5 in some ways in that organizational chart. So given that we have an open position, I'm just wondering what the possibility would be of not filling it and perhaps rejigging that.
Yeah. So thank you, Madam Mayor. We are always looking at ways of improving our structure. So we haven't filled the position and we haven't posted it with the consideration for the board today, but also we're just looking at what some of those requirements are and how we can best utilize that. So we will look at a restructuring or what that might look like as we move forward. We did go through an exercise a couple of years ago of restructuring some of our leadership team. We didn't add any FTEs, we realigned them. So there was no increase in FTEs, just as a realignment to better improve the services. With the vacancy, we are continuing to do that, and we'll consider what options are available with the restructure as we move forward.
The other comment that I've also heard, this IDEAS program, I believe, was cut from the budget last year. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, the IDEAS program was not cut. We actually do have a cohort that's going through that program currently. And if you'd like more specifics, I'd ask Shamir to come forward and speak to it, as he is the lead of that particular program and actually a part of the cohort.
No knock on your program, but I've
and
heard a lot of complaints coming out of the health department.
He's actually one of the members of the cohort that's currently going through that program.
So if I could just quickly finish, one piece with this that I have in terms of the training and development and so on is that I believe kind of when we get down on these lower levels, is there also a requirement, some sort of meeting that takes place every week or a couple times a week with all the different kind of, to participate in IDEAS or some of these other programs? Is this a kind of a weekly thing?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there are meetings. I will ask Mr. Okoronkwo to speak to the specifics, if I may.
Through the chair, when it comes to the IDEAS program, we do have a steering committee within the health unit, and the steering committee meets once a month. Now, different teams within the health unit are running different quality improvement initiatives. So based on the intensity of their initiatives, they have to determine how often they meet. Now, the IDEAS program, there are 2 phases to it. So we do have the IDEAS training, which all staff have undergone locally. Then we are participating equally in the Advanced Learners Program, which happens in Toronto and is funded through the Health Quality Ontario. So for that, we're expected to go to Toronto 3 times, and then we come back and implement all our learnings from those meetings in Toronto.
And do you know what the cost of that program is? And not just kind of materials, but we're actually drawing people away from their jobs of helping people when they come in, and we're forcing them to go into these meetings every week that I'm not sure is being well received.
Through the chair, the value the program brings to the health unit is quite immense. I do understand, I would understand where people imagine that we're drawing people away from their current jobs. But we are mandated by the province, it's one of the requirements in the OPHS, to institute a continuous quality improvement culture. So going through the IDEAS Advanced Learners helps us get to that position in fulfillment of that requirement. The idea behind selecting about, I think in the current cohort, there are 4 of us in the cohort, is that we build that capacity within the health unit. Now, when we build the capacity around quality improvement, the expectation is that the learned skills will be used to improve our programs and services, make them more effective, make them more efficient. That's the overall goal and the objective. So I do see there is value at the end for all these exercises we do.
I believe that you believe that there's value, and there very well may be. I'm just giving you the perspective of a number of frontline staff that feel that it is more valuable for them to interact with their patients than it is for them to be dragged into meetings. And I've had everything from being told of paper airplanes and, you know, activities that they're doing and so on. And just to be frank with you, the feedback that I'm getting is people they want to help the people that are coming through the front door, and they feel that a lot of this is wasted time in the health department, and there must be something that we're doing that's not effective over there, because our wait times are some of the longest in Ontario. And I just wonder if it wouldn't be possible to make a small reduction in those programs, let people interact with their patients more, and at the same time perhaps have a little bit of a less of an impact on the budget.
Yeah, truly, Chair. Once again, you are correct. I've equally heard those concerns that have been expressed, but I am of the school of thought that quality improvement produces positive results. And I'll give you an example. We have a huge wait time for our speech and language program. And through our quality improvement initiatives, staff have been able to identify change ideas to bring down those wait times. I think the challenge we're going through with the comments you've received, and I have privy to as well, is it's an all-around change management. You know, it's a new change. It's going to take a while for this to permeate the system. But I will appeal to the chair and the board that this is a good direction for us to be going towards. And the other thing we have to take into consideration is that in public health, our clients are population. We do not deal with singular clients. So when we're talking about look at population of things, how does this make a difference in the population? And that's what drives the way we run our programs and services.
I'll turn over to you, Councillor Huff, or Board Member Huffman, and then I just want to come back to, I can see you anxious.
Thank you, Mayor Chop. My question, I guess, regarding the particular, what Mayor Chop was referring to, where she'd had some feedback from frontline staff. So is there a name to this quality improvement program? Is it called IDEAS? Is that the...
IDEAS is the program name from Health Quality Ontario. That's what it's called, the IDEAS training.
Okay. And so having background in this, I do understand that sometimes in the social services field, the government always feels very helpful when they download what they think should be great training for staff, and they attach money to it. If you do this, you get this. So this is something that is not just in-house, this is something that is prescribed by the Ministry of Health?
Truly, Chair. So the Ministry of Health, the Ontario Public Health Standard says that the Board of Health shall institute a continuous quality improvement culture.
Yep.
So that is what we are mandated to do. So we now sat back and said, what will be the way to meet that requirement? IDEAS program is a program that has been around for a long time. It's been used in healthcare facilities, hospitals, long-term care. So they are well grounded in the field of quality in healthcare. So we approach them to be able to bring those learnings into public health. Interestingly, our health unit and one other health unit, and that'll be Huron Health Unit, are the first time IDEAS is moving into the public health arena, so to speak.
Okay, so essentially then, layman's terms, your CQI method is this program. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, perfect, thank you.
What does the QPAP department look like? How many people are in the QPAP department?
Through to you, Madam Mayor. The QPAP department had a total of 12.6 FTEs, but with the transition to a centralized communication team, it was reduced by 2.6, so we now have 11 FTEs. It's important to note that these are not just public health positions, but they are also charged back to social services. So in an effort for efficiencies, the QPAP team does a lot of our like our foundational standards and other quality improvement and accountabilities for the whole division, not just specific to the health unit. And hence it's not captured specifically in the Board of Health budget.
Would you, with the exclusion of the employees, is there anything within that department that we would perhaps be able to reduce?
Through you, Madam Chair, I would suggest that if we were to look at any further reductions, it would be probably in the training envelope.
I know that there has been sort of communications, I know, with and I'm not saying from yourself at all, but where people have felt threatened traditionally coming forward within departments and speaking to, applies to the fire departments as well, speaking to their counselors or the mayor. But when people come forward, you know, they're saying, hey, I've worked for Norfolk County for many, many years, but I'm coming forward as a concerned taxpayer, and I'm also coming forward out of the health department, I've heard, because I want to help my patients and so on. And I'm glad that they have, because it's given me a lot, kind of a better idea of what's going on. And the main one that keeps coming back is the QPAP department, and people are frustrated with having to go to 1 to 2 hour meetings, or 1 to 2 meetings per week. The online training modules that they're being asked to do, they don't find they're useful. They say that this IDEAS program, that it was an expensive program that came out of McMaster to develop a list of irritants and then applying them to their CQI protocol, and they feel that it's all such a waste of time when they're like, hey, why don't they just come to me and ask me, you know, like I've been doing this for 20 years.
Through the chair to the board members, thank you for raising those concerns. The work we do in QPAP is driven by the protocols. We do things to meet the requirements in the protocol. If I recall, one of the modules that, online modules that staff have been asked to complete has to do with the health equity module. There is a requirement that all staff should be aware of the social determinants of health. And there is a module prepared by Public Health Ontario that requires that every member of the health unit should be trained on those modules. So there is an expectation for staff to go through that online training. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, there is a requirement in our OPHS that we should institute a continuous quality improvement culture. So based on that, we sat down and planned, how do we get this going? And we looked around, and the province has this program that is running, and we felt it was a good fit to enable us meet that requirement. Like I said earlier on, I do appreciate that it is a change, it's a huge change. Someone that has been working somewhere for a long time and you bring in these changes, there will be some resistance, and I do appreciate that, and I've heard those comments as well. But I think what we're doing is to be able to meet those requirements set by the province, which the Board of Health is responsible and accountable for.
Well, I'm just going to read you something. And this is in relation to some people. So besides the online modules, then we are required to attend 1 to 2 two-hour meetings per week on Teams with other employees not even related to our field, lurching through exercises like using fishbone diagrams and using stickers and flip chart pages to measure change, and full-day mandatory training sessions. There are at least 2 of these in 2017. Every member of the health unit had resources purchased for them. Many use data measure. We have always used data to measure progress and change over the years. So I find it quite presumptuous that any of these ideas were new. I just feel that there's perhaps a reduction in that department that we could do that would satisfy these lower level employees and let them get back to doing their job. And so I can understand, even from the other day, you know, I remember I had one professor in the MBA program that everything was always, there was always props, and there was always, and I get the value of that. It gets people's attention, it gets them paying attention, but only so far, because, and then he actually ended up on the front page of the Globe and Mail, because we went through this whole exercise where the article was called Tipping the Teacher, and he wanted students to tip, and we knew that there was you know, some kind of point he was driving at, but the point was lost because there was just so much of it, and people were like, hey, I'm paying $100,000 for this MBA, like, can we get back to doing the work? So I feel that maybe things have, from everything I've heard, have maybe gone a little bit too much with diagrams and stickers and props and whatever, and training sessions every week, and maybe there's a little bit in that department that we could scale down and just
All right, through the chair, I'll just respond, and I'll try and pull in a little bit of personal experience as well as my professional experience in this. I would concede that when we rolled out the ideas training and the quality improvement, that staff of the health unit were put into different teams, and we were asked to look for irritants and try to make improvements. And that was the objective behind that. Was to give them hands-on experience using those tools around QI. But since then, we have progressed, and we are at the point where staff are handling issues in their teams. And in the last up-plan we had, there is a specific requirement from the ministry that will let the ministry know what projects we have ongoing around QI. Now, to go back to the other point where staff talked about, oh, they are learning fishbone and all of that. In my last place, I did present at the Ontario Public Health Convention on a QI initiative. I went through all the processes and I presented it to an audience of other staff from the health unit. I remember a comment that came from a frontline staff that sat in and said, oh, but we do all of that. Then her colleague told her, say, you do it, but you haven't put it systematically to show that you have achieved an improvement. And all this is trying to do is, we want to make a change, but let it be systematic so at the end of the day, you're able to prove to the funders, I was able to achieve that. I was able to achieve an improvement. And that's what the QI tools and methods help staff to do. And like I said, at this moment, we have moved to the teams, where it's much more relevant to the day-to-day work of staff.
Just being in this position a little bit I've been already, I think that the biggest suggestions for efficiencies and improvements come from the people themselves, and I think it goes far greater distance to have direct conversation with your lower level staff, find out where they think the improvements could be made, and I'm just wondering if maybe, you know, since we're not going to get the budget approved today, if, you know, instead of having 2 full-day training sessions, if we might be able to see a cost reduction, because all these employees are having to do this, if maybe they have 1 training session, and if we could maybe reduce these meetings to, you know, once a month to work on teams and spend some time actually just consulting with the employees. So not only would we save money, but we're also going to improve our service times, because the frontline staff then would not be pulled out of their work every week, twice a week, to go and attend these sessions. Would that be possible to have a look and see whether or not we could have some reduction in that area?
Through the chair, I think I agree with the chair. What the point I'm making up, the point you've enumerated is where we are currently. Right now, QI sits in the teams. They are supposed to work on their QI initiatives during their team meetings. So we have gotten there. It was a painful process to get to where, well, but we are where you have proposed. That is where we are right now. So there are reductions in meetings to do QI.
This just came to me just recently, so.
Well, a few of those comments appear to be dated. in as much as communities. When we had staff in different teams or different teams together, we ended up last year. Right now, staff are working on QI initiatives within the team. That is our current status.
If I may, just to further comment on the quality improvement initiatives, from my own personal experience in working with other organizations in the healthcare sectors, quality improvement has always been a mandate, either through accreditation or through other accrediting bodies or within quality improvement, just within each of their respective organizations. I have been, not many, but two or three other employers that have taken the approach of quality improvement by training the leadership team and then trying to have it funneled down through the frontline staff. And I'll respectfully say, with all of those great efforts and all of the cost incurred for that, they've all been unsuccessful. You get the training, it's a point in time, but then you don't actually apply it, and the frontline staff really have no knowledge of what you're talking about. So through this initiative, that has been painful, and we've heard some of that feedback, and we're not disagreeing with that. What we've chosen to do was to shift the culture, which you can appreciate. Shifting a culture is significant. And in shifting the culture, what we've tried to enable the staff is to provide them with that training. And so it has been painful. We've provided them with the tools and the techniques now to do it on their own. So what Mr. Okoronkwo is speaking to is we're at the point now where it is at the team level. So when they identify that they have a problem as a team, they work together using those tools to better find efficiencies and continue to work on that in a continuous quality approach. So the approach that we've taken is to build the foundation of quality in each and every staff member within the public health team, and now we should be moving forward with less meetings and working with the team. They meet on a monthly basis, and then they can work through that. I have to say it warms my heart when I hear teams talking about fishbone and PDSA cycles and all of that, because when I came to this organization, they looked at me like I had 5 heads. So it is a fundamental change in how we've practiced, and I respect the staff for the working through it with us, and I would suggest, and I would leave with the board, that this is something that now will be at the team level.
So have we seen a reduction in the budget line for the QPAP division then?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there was never an increase other than the training for the ideas that was actually added to the budget line. So the 11 positions that sit within the QPAP are not specific related to this initiative. It's really something that the leadership team has been doing, with the exception of some external training and staff time. So FTEs are not directly dedicated to this particular initiative.
I just, one more point to this whole idea of the FTE positions that we talked about being provincially funded. I'm just going to read something else that I received. Provincially funded positions, mostly managers, are likely 100% funded. These were announced rapid fire before the last election when Wynne was in power. Not sure if the county had any choice but to accept the dollars in the positions, but I recall a time when the county declared a moratorium on new positions, even and especially the 100% funded ones, because there are fees associated with that would have a levy impact. Would propose looking at the history of hiring over the past 5 years and whether the province intends to end any of those. Again, this comes back to my question: did any of those positions that were once fully funded, did any of those come to an end and now they're impacting the levy?
Through you, Madam Chair, any positions that cease being funded, we bring to the board and or council respectfully for your direction. There was, with a budget approved initiative last year, we did receive $198,000, and we did fund one of our current FTEs, which was the panorama coordinator, with those monies. Historically, for years, that particular position was funded on an annual basis with one-time grants. We needed to continue to have that position for our vaccination team, and so what we brought to the board is to take the funding that was once in the one-time funding and utilize the funding that we received last year, so there wouldn't be an increase to the levy.
Councilor, Board
Nope.
Member Huffman?
Nope.
Anyone else? Councilor Rabbits, or Board Member Rabbits?
Thank you. And through the chair, just behooves me to, my conscience makes me want to speak here. I just want to speak to the piece about the culture and trying to change the culture. I was previously a frontline social service worker with Ontario Works, providing employment support, coordination to those looking to exit the program. And I want to echo many of the comments that you have received. I have experienced those firsthand, and we're going back to 2014. I don't know if the culture still persists to this day. I don't work in the field anymore. In fact, my experience made me leave the field entirely. I worked a series of contracts through the health unit, and my experience with the culture, there was a lot of burnout, there's a lot of frustration. We just wanted to help our clients, and many times we're taken off those portfolios. I can remember a time going to a training session and to the comments about paper airplanes and some of the things that seemed a little bit make work. If you can recall the Harlem Shake, I can distinctly remember my colleagues putting on a rubber horse mask and dancing. And I was sitting there in that room thinking about the individuals that didn't have enough food on the table. And my role was to help them get off of assistance, help them with volunteer opportunities, get them kitted up with personal protective equipment, help them with a resume, find a job. And that's all I was thinking about at that moment in time. And I'm getting a little choked up here because, I've been holding it back, and I just felt that I need to put that out there that, it's a hard job, and you've got a client to serve. And when you're taking time out of your day to do what you feel is a make work project, or maybe, what was my takeaway from that training session that day? It wasn't a good one. And there's a lot of truth in what our chair has said today, and it's difficult. You need to put yourself in that person's shoes. You don't need to walk a mile in them, but I just wanted to put it out there that I think we do need to solicit our frontline staff and ask them what training they need, rather than saying this is mandated from the province and it's you must do, because they'll tell you, what they're struggling with in their workload, and they'll tell you about the things that keep them up at night, and it's something that still keeps me up at night to this day. I wonder where those clients are now, if they're okay.
Thank you, Board Member Rabbits. Just to follow along on Board Member Rabbits' position, I'm going to read you the last sentence. Because at our core, we value service delivery. We want to perform, and if we feel we keep having our ambitions clipped, we feel that management's created an adversarial situation and morale is poor, any steps that you can make to help us to that effect would be much appreciated. So I'm just wondering if maybe before we approve this budget, if since we're going to have to meet again in a couple weeks, if we might be able to see if perhaps we might see a reduction from some of these training programs and what could be done in that area that I think is clear that it's not being well received throughout the health department. I'm also, one final concern that I have is we still spend a lot on the smoking cessation program. And I just heard again on the radio driving in, as you guys spoke of the other day, about our opioid epidemic that's here. And if perhaps the funds, most kids don't smoke. I mean, even when I was in university, I mean, if you're people that were the smoker at school, like you looked at like you're crazy. I mean, I think that smoking has decreased substantially. And so I'm thinking maybe now we should be directing funds into other programs like, combating opioid abuse and.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of things, and then I'll ask Mr. Syed Shah to speak further on it as he oversees that particular program. So there is a board report coming forward in February, on February the 5th, specific to the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, which includes the new cannabis legislation. So stay tuned, more is coming on that. And so that would be the first part of it. And the second thought I had actually escapes me right now, so I'm going to switch.